Thank you, everybody, for staying for the Partnering with PLEx session here at the end of the afternoon. Myself and so I'm David Bellowitz and Hogden, and take it away.
Oh, thanks. Hi, thank you all for staying to the end. It's really good to see that people were able to stay because we're running about 35 minutes late, unfortunately. But we have some lovely speakers here, and to my mind, this is the most important session of this entire few days. So looking at how we partner with people with lived experience. And I'm really glad to welcome the lovely Janet Hough to take it away with partnering with PLEx in MND research. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you. Thanks, Anne. Thank you to the organising committee for the opportunity of speaking here today. I stand here as a person diagnosed with MND, and I represent the 2,500 people living with MND in Australia at the moment. I represent the 2 people that have been diagnosed today and the 2 people that have passed away today. I look up at the picture that has become part of the Lived Experience Network website, and I look at all those people and I journey with them as they face the challenges of their MND as it progresses and their life gets more challenging and more difficult. And as I've sat here for 2.5 days, I'm really grateful for the incredible amount of intelligence and research that's happening in the scientific space. And although I didn't understand it all, I really appreciate the work that everybody's doing to try and find that small window that will give us some answers towards working towards better treatments and eventually a cure for MND. So our group came together as part of the MND Collective, which we heard about this morning in the first session. And the aim of the objective is to collectively accelerate our understanding of MND and fast track the discovery, development and delivery of effective treatments. Our group was initiated by a really good idea from a very dynamic woman who herself has MND, and she really wanted to pursue the role of a PLEx person in the MND research space. Unfortunately, Jenny's condition has now prevented her from standing or sitting where I am, and I'm really honoured to be presenting what was her vision in the first place. So our group came together just over 8 weeks ago, and we've had a pretty fast period of getting to know each other over Zoom and in developing our ideas around the involvement of PLEx in research. We know that the MND research group are moving towards more involvement in PLEx in future grant applications, and our purpose in this program is to explore the benefits and barriers for consumer involvement in MND research in Australia, and we're going to do this by highlighting 3 different case examples. This level of participation triangle gives us an idea of how PLEx involvement can be undertaken by involving PLEx at various levels. And by PLEx, I mean someone living with MND, someone related to that person with MND, and including carers of people with MND. So at the very bottom level, PLEx can be informed about research that's going on, but that doesn't really involve PLEx in that research. It's really a tokenistic opportunity to inform rather than involve. PLEx can be consulted through their lived experience and their research ideas about what kind of research might be useful in moving forward our understanding of MND. They can be involved more deeply in a PLEx program, including research discussions. They can be further involved in partnerships where their voices can help the researchers to develop the whole research program from design through to implementation, through to results, and then through to implementation of those research results. And at the ultimate level, although I don't know how feasible this is at the moment, is that you have a research project that is entirely led by PLEx. So I'll now move on to our 3 case studies, and they've been deliberately chosen because they come from 3 different areas of research. So the first is an example of implementation science. The second is an example of discovery research. And the third is an example from the area of clinical care. So the first case study is PLEx engagement in the implementation research aiming to understand and improve the uptake of NIV in MND. Now, Marnie Greco is, from what I've learned over the last 8 weeks, an incredible woman who's driving research in this area and has really embraced the PLEx community and used their voices to help develop a research program and really considered the needs of the PLEx people in her program. So she had a 3-year postdoctoral fellowship, which was funded by the MND Research Australia, and I think also funded by Fight MND. So PLEx were involved in this program by establishing a stakeholder advisory group, which had 4 PLEx people and then a number of MND researchers, MND health professionals and MND advocates. They met every 2 months and had meetings in between. And incidentally, the PLEx people were reimbursed for their time at $55 an hour. So our next slide shows us some of the benefits and barriers identified by this group in this research. And you can see them there. So the PLEx individuals contributed to the aspects of the design of the program, of the project. They reviewed the research documents. They helped to share the information with the PLEx community. And I think PLEx, journeying with PLEx is a really fantastic way of sharing information. They helped interpret preliminary research findings. They co-authored the research publications, and they have been named. They were named as co-investigators on their 2023 Fight MND grant. If anybody's watched Jane Simpson's podcast, you'll see Marnie and I've forgotten who else on that. And Phil, and I think Natalie, were all on there talking about this research project. And they've inspired and motivated the whole research group through their positivity and their generosity. So the barriers to this project were identified as it was really hard to find people to engage from marginalised groups such as Indigenous people, people living in rural areas and non-English speaking people. The second study is, or the second example is from discovery research. And in some ways, I find this really challenging that people with PLEx don't necessarily have the skills or the intellect to really be involved in understanding discovery research. But this discovery research team were able to use PLEx to help them answer some important directions about the way their research was to proceed. And I'll just outline that now. So this was a project from Queensland with Associate Professor Derek Stein and Associate Professor Xu Nyo. They had found in their research that ghrelin was an attractive target for MND treatment, but that it rapidly cleared from the circulation, so it wasn't a good drug candidate. They had also, through their research, found compounds that could mimic the action of ghrelin, which was positive. Now, their big question was, should they work really hard in their lab to find a novel ghrelin mimetic, so something that would act like ghrelin and stay in the system for longer, or should they find a mimetic that could mimic the action of ghrelin that was already available within the FDA? So with this dilemma in mind, they went to PLEx and asked them their opinion. Now, this diagram is very complicated for me, and it shows the theoretical action of ghrelin on the pathology in MND, and the details of which I am not able to discuss in this presentation. But from this team's involvement with PLEx, these researchers, instead of choosing to spend time investigating a new drug that would be a mimetic for ghrelin, they decided that they would investigate a drug from the FDA that would be of similar action. And they believe that this would save them 10 to 15 years of research time to find an effective intervention. And I think that's incredible that if this, when the outcome of this research comes, that's an incredible benefit to the people with MND. The barriers for these people, for this project, were that they had difficulty accessing people with lived experience outside the metropolitan area. They had difficulty explaining the science to the PLEx members, and they had to reach a mutual understanding of where PLEx involvement was limited and the research team really needed to use their own expertise. So our third case is a clinical case, and this involved the establishment of a MND multidisciplinary clinic on the central coast of New South Wales, and this project was led by Karen Hutchinson. Now, PLEx was involved in this project in a fairly informal and ad hoc way, and that's because the clinic was deemed to be a really important clinical service, but it was trying to be set up out of the goodwill of many of the staff that were involved in delivering that service and not with adequate health funding. So our next slide just shows some of the examples of the way PLEx was used there. Sorry, did I not have that one up yet? So that's just where they are, and this is some of the benefits and barriers to having PLEx. So they identified that there was a need for the service in their area. They brought everybody to the table to discuss the way the service should run and what should be included. So PLEx was able to voice that they needed a multidisciplinary clinic. And the PLEx sharing of experiences improved the overall care provided by the clinic. So I think hopefully these three examples have shown that it's really important to involve people with lived experience in the conduct of research around MND, to raise, and hopefully has raised the awareness of PLEx involvement in research. So on behalf of the people with lived experience, whether we have MND or love or care for someone with MND, thank you again for the incredible work that everybody is doing. It's so appreciated. Please continue to connect with us, to share your ideas with us, and allow us to share our journey, whatever life experiences we have had in the past and are experiencing through our MND journey, so that we can help in any way we can. We are living with MND and we're making the most of every day. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Janet before she takes her seat? Come back. Yep.
I'm not getting to the gym.
First of all, thank you so much for your beautiful words and for being here today to share the story. I noticed that one of the biggest barriers that keeps coming up is people in remote areas. How do you think PLEx will be able to overcome that bridge and engage more with people in those remote areas?
My first comment is that I think people with PLEx really need to be willing to be engaged first. My next comment is that the MND Australia are working really hard and they've established the lived experience network now, and people from anywhere in Australia can join that network and then be linked into research projects. I suppose I'm motivated because I'm really wanting to journey with people, and I really want to make the most of whatever my life challenges are to help to do whatever I can. And yeah, so I want to be involved. But obviously it's an individual choice and everybody's at different stages of their journey and life is hard for lots of people. Thank you.